It's time for the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Powerful and liberating business strategies you can start in 5 minutes or less. Now, here's your host, Dean Soto.
Hey, this is Dean Soto, founder of freedomin5minutes.com and prosulam.com. And we're here again with another Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode. Today's topic is this: you are responsible for you. That and more coming up. So, well, it's been a while, yeah? It's been a while, and things might sound a little weird. I'm actually in the downtown area of where I live, and I don't usually come here too often. But it's very, very interesting. Very interesting. So, you know, with all the COVID-19 stuff going on, all the coronavirus stuff going on, you know, when I go into stores, when I go to different stores and stuff like that, they are like face mask Nazis for the most part. You know, if you don't have a face mask, they're like, put on your face mask. You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to stop the spread. 15 days to stop the spread, right? And what, we're going on day 190 to stop the spread. But you can't blame me. I'm for the most part, I am up in the hills, away from everybody, quarantined to myself. Even in the first, it was funny, the first like 2 or 3 weeks of this whole thing, we literally never left our place. we just did our stuff on the land. I ordered in Amazon, and that was about it. So, anyway, all that being said, what I noticed is that in the stores, in the even especially like the higher end stores, I don't know if it's just the higher end stores or what, but in the stores in general, lots of people you always get asked, always get asked. So right now I'm putting a hitch on my truck so that I can tow around a Bobcat, a skid steer loader, and I'm in the downtown area. This is where the sheriff's office is. This is where the police stations are, like the headquarters. This is where all of the court system is, et cetera, right? Well, here, some of the buildings don't even have like, hey, put on your face mask. You need a face mask, and so on and so forth. Some of the law enforcement places, if you watch them coming in and coming out, they don't have it. They don't have face masks. And it was not surprising, actually. A little bit was, but again, it's not. So, I'm walking around. I don't do that. I don't do that craziness, right? And so I'm walking around, and I'm what was I gonna say? I'm sorry, I've got distracted. So I'm walking around, and I'm like, I'm thinking that, it's going to be worse here, right? Because this is where government is. This is where, if this was really this huge, huge thing, and I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it. I'm just observing. Let's just say I'm observing, right? This was a huge, huge, huge thing. You would see mass enforcement, right? A lot of homeless here. And like I said, a lot of the officers, a lot of the deputies, and so on and so forth, do not wear it at all. We're going in, going out, doing their thing, and so on and so forth. And so it got me thinking, I'm a conspiracy theorist at heart, and I value my autonomy and doing things the way I want to do them. And, I social distance. I don't get near it, because that's the whole thing, right? All right, I actually had someone just call me, so let's see if this goes. Anyway, where were we at? I don't know. Okay, so I had one of my clients call me and thank me for the dinner that I sent him and his wife on. So anyway, where are we at? I don't remember. So anyway, what I started thinking was, if it was so crazy, wouldn't that be like the epicenter of wouldn't all if police saw, because if you look at the actual mandates, especially in California, you look at the mandates, they're guidelines, so they're not actual mandates, but they're guidelines. The other thing is that if you social distance, you don't have to wear a mask, and if you and vice versa, if you can't social distance, then you wear a mask. But all these different places are just bam, you have to. But if you go to the government buildings, they some of them don't actually require you to wear face coverings. They're public buildings too, so it's not as though they can deny you service if you don't wear a face covering. You're probably gonna get some kind of conflict, but ultimately you're not gonna knock on wood, you should be okay. But that being said, part of me was so why is it this way? Why is it that all these different companies are so Nazi-like when it comes to face masks, even if you're social distancing, right? So if you're social distancing, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. At least that's what the guideline says, right? Morning. So yeah, the guidelines are they're very, very clear when it comes to that, right? So the thing that came to my mind is that people, and myself included, I'm not saying that this is not does not apply to me. We've been so ingrained in being part of this economy where, especially in the city, of not growing your own food, not having your own way of transportation. And what I mean by that is think about it this way. What if the power grid goes down? And what if there's no gasoline, right? Because if the entire power grid went down, you're not going to be able to pump your gas, because that requires to actually have electricity to pump your gas, right? And so, no matter what, if you're not able to, if you don't live seriously like the Amish, you are vulnerable. I'm vulnerable. Even in the rural areas, I don't have horses. I have chickens, but I don't have things that can allow for transportation. The chickens definitely give food with eggs and stuff like that, but not a lot. I don't have a ton of stuff to be totally self-sufficient, and we are getting things like solar and stuff like that. But even with that, it's not a foolproof thing. And this is not doomsday. This is not hey, you need to get out of the cities and yada, yada, yada. The thing is to realize that one of the reasons why people, especially businesses, are very, very Nazi-ish when it comes to masks. And I'm not saying it's in a mean way. But one of the reasons why is because they don't want to lose what they have, and rightfully so. If their local government or state government, whatever, says, hey, you need to do this or we're shutting you down and you're losing everything, of course they're going to do that. You kidding me? Whether it's a law or not, they're not going to sit there and fight against the state and the government and stuff like that when they feel like they can lose everything. But they also have to recognize that that's their choice, right? My choice is I tend to be very hard-headed. I always have been, and I tend to fight. I tend to buck the system. That's just me. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm not saying that's what you need to do. But that's what personally I do, right? And so all that being said, the whole point of this is that you are responsible for you. You are responsible for you. I have not yet worn one single face covering, one single mask this whole entire time, right? I take that back. I did once when we went to the hospital, because to me it made sense right there, right? It was literally to go from my room, from the bottom floor up to my room, and then we took it off the entire time in the hospital, okay? So, but other than that, none. But all of that was my own responsibility, right? So why is this important? You are responsible for you. You are responsible for everything that you put yourself into, every situation that you put yourself into, right? And so to me, it's very, very, very important, just like Sun Tzu says, is that if you know yourself and you know the enemy, you will win. He will know the outcome of 100 battles, right? Basically, you'll win every time. But if you don't know yourself and you don't know the enemy, you'll lose every time pretty much. If you don't know yourself but you know the enemy, you'll win half the battles, right? It's when you know both, know yourself and be responsible for yourself, whether it's in business, whether it's with your family. A lot of times, families break up. Husband and wife break up. Oh, she's this and this and that, and he's this and this and that, and he, when in fact, a lot of it can be solved by looking at yourself and fixing and changing who you are and doing things for the other person despite what they do for you. A lot of times marriages can be saved just by looking at yourself and taking responsibility, right? So the same thing goes with this. So what can you take responsibility for this week, right? What can you take responsibility for right now? Like, for example, for me, especially with my wife, is sending. I try to send like daily deposits, daily things of love, right? Texts that where I'm giving her, whether she responds or not. A lot of times it's just like a thumbs up or something like that. I'm like, I just spilled my heart to you, and you're just giving me a thumbs up. Not caring about the reaction. That's what I do, despite, and it's for me. It is for her, but it's also for me. So, all that being said, what can you do this week? And what can you take responsibility for this week that will change the game for you for here on out? So, all right, this is Dean Soto. I'm going to go get my trailer hitch put back on, and I'll catch you in the next Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode.
Thanks for listening to the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Now, head over to www.freedomin5minutes.com and register for our free masterclass and discover how to start systemizing and automating your entire business 5 minutes at a time. We'll see you next time on the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast.